Dan, I want to talk to you today about wholesome family entertainment.
Oh boy, that's my middle name. Bring it on. Let's have a conversation.
Wholesome family entertainment, also known as the Back 40 Firewood YouTube channel.
That's actually never been a part of my middle name. In fact, going back to the days of wrestling, that was yeah, I don't focus on that all the time.
I got a kick out of back-to-back videos that you had done, and the one involved it's the comments that I just laugh because people just pick on you. You had a mystery part on your tractor, and you asked the community, "What is it?" And the overall reply was, if you don't know what it is, you shouldn't be riding a tractor.
Yes, I should not even. I don't know how the dealership sold me that tractor without knowing what that was because, wow, it was. Yeah, there was a lot of responses, and it's one of those things where I didn't. I don't know. I'd never seen one before, and I if I saw one, I know what it was, but I didn't know the name of it. So I figured, hey,
Yeah.
why not do a quick video, ask the people out there what it is, and then when I go to get a new one, I would know what to look for or what to ask for.
So the answer couldn't be, it's a roll pin. The answer had to be, I'm not telling you, and you have no business on a tractor. They had to mock you instead of just helping you out.
Well, that was the interesting part, is that a lot of people left that comment like, well, if you don't know what that is, you shouldn't have a tractor. But they didn't then say what it was, so I don't know if they didn't know as well. But then, for the most part, it was all
Yeah.
just like, it's a roll pin. It's a roll pin.
And it's
It's just
funny because one doesn't lead to the other. I can't build a clock, but I can tell time. But that gets me to a question I've just been burning to ask you, Dan. So we both have Ford pickup trucks. Now, on my truck, if you open the hood, on the front of each valve cover are two electrical plugs that go into the front, and they sit on top of where the timing chain sprockets would be spinning in there. What's the name of that part?
I have no idea.
You have
But,
no business driving trucks, Dan.
well, let me ask you this. Inside your
Yes.
website, on the main page, when you go to create a container, what is the name of the tag used in the code?
It is a Canutant rod.
Nope. Shut down your website. There, you have no business running a website if you don't know what that container tag is called.
Yeah. Okay. So we've made this world a lot simpler now. You have no tractor, no truck, and I have no website.
There you go. Or
Uh-huh.
I could even say to all those that were leaving those comments, how are you using your computer or your phone without knowing some of the technical specs about it to leave this comment?
Yes. Yeah. We could go
Yeah.
on this one all day long, huh?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it could go on and on. But I mean, I guess, I'm one of those guys where if I don't know something, I'm not afraid to say I don't know. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people out there are the same way. But on the flip side of it is, I also don't think you need to know every single part and component of a machine in order to operate it.
Yeah, it's just silly. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but okay, so that was the first video. The second one, um, I was just sitting there with my mouth open because I was just thinking Dan has just gone off the deep end, but it was brilliant. It was hilarious. You take a lot of grief because you have the audacity to have your wife help you in your videos.
Yes.
And yeah, and she is not wearing Carhartt bibbed overalls with steel-toed boots and a helmet with a full face shield and earmuffs. Okay, how
No.
dare she?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm watching this, and the next thing I know, she's wearing the Handmaiden's Tale costume of the, which is representative of the oppressed woman who succumbs to
The
our
servant.
patriarchal, the patriarchal world that we live in. And
Yes.
I just, yeah, I clicked off the video and I just laughed hysterically. Hilarious. Oh gosh, that probably was an expression of both of you guys on a lot of pent up angst over the years, huh?
Oh, a little bit. I mean, not so much really pent up. I mean, to a degree, but it's mostly just was poking a little fun at, all of the comments that always surface around, what Amanda wears. And there's the percentage of people who think that I make her wear those things,
Oh
or that
gosh.
I should tell her not to wear those things. Or, it's like, I don't know. She wears what she wears, and a lot of times when she comes out there, that's what she's had on the entire day.
Yeah. I do not know your wife. Okay. I've never met her. Just from what I understand of her and getting to know you, I have the impression that she will do what she wants, and no one, especially you, is going to tell her any different. Is that pretty
Right.
accurate?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. She's and the other thing is, it's one of those things like if I were to like say to her, "Oh, you better not wear that. You should wear something else. Here, put on." Well, first of all, I don't think she has like a pair of working, what we used to call everyday jeans, the pants you just
Yeah.
wear out on the farm, whatever. I mean, what she wears is what she wears every day. So,
Yeah.
and, it's just funny because here it is, an environment where, predominantly dominated by males. And it's like one of
Yeah.
these things where like everyone out there is just focused on what I'm allowing my wife to wear, or not what I'm making her wear. I should be making her wear other things.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
Yeah, I just thought that was hilarious because she's wearing the infamous outfit. It's like this maroon. It's like, what is that, brown cloak? Yeah,
Yes, the maroon
yeah, and she
cloak.
has. Yeah, it just hides her. So she's like locked away from the world, uh,
And
just to, um, just to satisfy the wishes of the domineering male.
right, just walking
I'm
out
highly sensitive to this stuff now, because I have 2 daughters, so
with
it's been an
her
eye opener to
hands
me.
folded, in
Yeah.
the submissive position, just saying, "I'm
Oh
here.
gosh.
I will do what you wish. Tell me what." It's just, but
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
that was getting her to wear that was so like here's the example. Like if I do want her to wear something and she doesn't really want to, like I have to go out of my way to talk her into it. Like she was just like,
Uh
I don't
huh.
know about this. This is kind of silly.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that was great. Yeah. But that's interesting though, because when I am working around my yard, and I've had people, they stop in, I get regular visitors that just pop in at the yard. I just happen to be there.
Yep.
And I think the first thing that they are shocked to see is that I am not in my, what I call my clown suit, what I wear in all my videos. I mean, I look like a train wreck when I'm working by myself. I got, I think my shirt has changed, like, had been involved in 20 oil changes. My pants got one leg longer than the other. you know,
Yep.
my
Yep.
hat, nothing matches. Yeah, it's like when I'm working in the yard, looks don't matter at all. And some days I got steel toes on, some days I don't. Some days, I got, well, I usually have my headphones and my eye stuff on, but I don't know if, and I would probably guess for the majority of the channels that do go out of their way to show themselves in chaps, wearing full PPE. I wonder what percentage is actually doing that when the camera isn't on.
Right. Yeah. I'm sometimes guilty of not wearing them when I'm not filming, but I think
Yeah.
there also is a different like categories or like depending on what you're doing. If you're running a chainsaw, yes, you should be wearing the proper PPE. But if you're just unloading, stacking wood, moving some stuff around, I mean, I don't always have steel-toed boots on. I don't always have the heavy-duty protective gloves. I'm usually always wearing some sort of eye protection, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things where like if you broke down everything you did in your day, you should probably have PPE for everything, according to some of these people.
We should all be wrapped in bubble wrap.
Yeah, wearing a helmet in your car or wearing, steel-toed boots to the grocery store because a can of beans might fall off the shelf. I mean, where do you draw the line?
Which is a very serious condition, I'm here to tell you.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I am totally digging that. And I have flashbacks to my dad. He would always say, you never walk into a man's house and tell him how to live. You know,
Yes.
he was from the old days. But there is, I think, being on YouTube and opening our lives to people, I think we should expect and probably tolerate, not tolerate, but embrace these kind of comments where people will say, well, you should be wearing your chaps.
Yep.
You're wearing tennis shoes, you're going to get hurt. I agree with them. But at the same time, too, I would say, A, is the person that you're watching an adult? Okay. Two, does he or she know what is at stake by not following strict safety guidelines? And C, um, is it any of your business? Um, Probably C, I don't know, is it or is it not? I think that because you're on YouTube, that probably you should expect and embrace comments such as that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's part of the game. And, if you're doing that, you should also, I mean, I try to, when I'm filming, make sure that I have all those bases covered with PPE. I've even gone, now I've started showing because I always get questioned about like ear protection. And, I wear the expandable foam earplugs that you can't really see when
Yeah.
I have them in. So I make I make a point to like show them to the camera, like here they are. They're going in. Don't worry, I have them on. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think the basics: ear, eye, and chaps. If you're running a chainsaw, that's something that you should try to, if you're making content, make sure you have and are using.
Uh-huh. I don't feel there's an obligation though. Do you?
No, I don't think there's an obligation, but I mean, if you don't, I think then, like you said, I think you just have to embrace the criticism you get back because there's always going to be that.
Yeah, but is there, I don't know, is there like a leadership role, if you are on YouTube and you're showing yourself running a chainsaw unsafely, is that is that badness compound itself because people are looking at you versus if you are wearing, chaps, a chainsaw glove, a face shield and all, are you
Hmm.
sending a message about safety or
Yeah,
taking this serious and others should too?
I guess it might come down to that fine line of what category. Like, are you doing an instructional how-to video? Yes, you need to
Right.
have it. Or are you just showing your day in the life? And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that one.
Uh-huh. I can speak for myself. I remember when I first started, people would say they would always point out that I'm wearing tennis shoes, sneakers.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I am. And if you really got to know me, I don't even tie them. I tie them loose so I can like kick them on and off. When it first started, I would always say, oh yes, I need to start taking this serious. And I did get me a pair of steel toed sneakers, but I just didn't like them, whatever. I know the risk. And then the comments would still come in and then I would start replying, oh, well, it's just the way I am. That's, and now when these comments come in, I don't even reply to them anymore. It's
Yeah.
just, I think we're through all this.
I'm always afraid of like jinxing myself. Like if I say, "Oh, my wife doesn't need steel toe boots. Like she's perfectly fine being aware of what she's doing," and then the next video she drops a log on her foot. Like something like
Yeah.
that would happen,
But you could edit that out though.
and then you would have the "I told you so, I told you so." But
Yeah. Yeah. So how about what are other things though about wearing in the wood yard or when you're working? What about jewelry? Does your wife
ooh,
like has she ever been called out for like having dangling chains or rings on or anything like that?
not jewelry, but a she had a lanyard with the shocker for the dog one time that was hanging down. But I could see like
Oh,
jewelry hanging or even rings. Rings are, you know,
yeah.
a hazard.
Oh, yeah. Do you wear a wedding ring? I never even noticed.
Yes.
You do? You wear it in the yard too
I
when you're
can't get it
working?
off. It's like my,
Serious?
my it's
It's
gotten
on,
tight
huh?
and my knuckles are big and like to get it on and off is a challenge.
Oh, wow. So I am happily married, 20, 25 and a half years. But I do not wear my wedding ring, and I wore it all the way up till a few years ago, where I had a very close call.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was awful. I had a friend one time. He worked at a steel mill, and he got his hand smashed between two coils of steel, and he had a glove on, and he said he couldn't feel his hand, and he was just scared to death to take his glove off because he didn't know what was inside of it. Turned
Yep.
out he was okay. But I had a bizarre incident. I was splitting wood with my Fisker's maul, my Fisker's axe, and I had a log on top of another log, and I'm splitting them. And you know how like weird stuff just happens. I can't explain it, but I whiffed. I overswang, and so the head of the axe missed the log on the far side, so the handle came down on the log. Well, the log slid all the way up the handle, or my hand, went down closer to it, and the edge of the face of the log drove into my ring finger right behind my wedding band. And it my arm, my whole hand just exploded in pain. I couldn't even see straight for like 10 minutes. And
Ooh.
I was experienced, my hand was inside of a glove, and I didn't even know if my finger was still attached. It was awful. And I couldn't even have told you if my wedding band had smashed onto my finger. And it was awful. And I remember taking my glove off, and I was just scared to death what had happened. Turns out it missed the ring, but it would have smashed that ring onto my finger.
Yeah.
And if you've ever seen the injury called a ring, what's it called? A ring avulsion. You don't, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Anyhow,
I don't
yeah.
want
So
to.
after ice and my finger had swelled up, I got my ring off, and because of that, my ring doesn't even fit anymore, and it still won't go back on. And yes, I could have gotten it resized, but my wife, gives me permission, so I don't wear my wedding band. But we keep it in a nice place, but it's always there when I want to put it back on.
Yeah.
But I would tell people, don't, especially in firewood, because you're always smashing your fingers between two logs. If you're stacking, if you're this and you're that.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about wedding bands and in the wood yard. Ugh.
That is that. Now that you mention it and tell that story, I could see where that might be the one of the top things to look out for. I didn't even. I was
Wedding
wondering. I was
rings.
going to ask
Yeah.
you if you had gloves on or not, but I suppose even with or without a glove, it can still catch on something.
Yeah. Well, I told my wife the benefit too is it's easier to pick up women now. I
That
mean, that's why I started selling firewood in the first place. What better
right.
way to meet women than selling firewood? Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I'm just joking about that. But my dad was an iron worker for 46 years, and he never. I don't think they were allowed to wear any jewelry or wedding bands at work.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine.
my dad never wore a wedding ring until after he retired, and
Huh.
then he started wearing it. Yeah. Actually, my dad had two wedding rings.
Really?
He did. Yeah. So this is a cool story. So when my mom, she was not well. She's in a hospital. She went in like near the end of her life and never came out. So she was in there for a while. And dad would go to the hospital every day. And this was in the wintertime. My mom she was always bringing in the stray cats. So she had a number of cats where they lived backed into the woods. And there was this old barn back in the woods, and the cats would stay there, and then they would come to her house and she'd feed them, and then she would tame them. She would take them into town to get them spayed and neutered, and then she would give them away. She just had this whole thing going on. So when my mom was in the hospital, dad was in charge of the cats. So he had bought a couple bales of straw. They had a little house out there for him. And so he was out there one winter and he was spreading the straw, and his hands were freezing, and his wedding ring slipped off of his hand and fell down into the snow, and he
Ooh.
couldn't find it. And he had to go see mom at the hospital, and he was worried sick because, mom, when you're in the hospital, you feel real vulnerable and all. And
Yep.
he didn't want her thinking that he, was giving up on her and was not wearing his wedding band anymore. So on his way to the hospital, he stopped at the jewelry store and bought a wedding band to put it on to go to the hospital. How about that? And then
Oh.
later in the spring, when all the snow melted, he found his ring out there on the back porch.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. So my dad had two wedding bands. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, but
that's
I would say don't wear rings in the woodyard.
yes, indeed.
The ring
Yeah.
is a thing.
The ring is a thing.
Yeah. Especially around like these log splitters and stuff, I mean, I have that vertical splitter, and I'll admit, watching it and watching someone else run it, it's kind of squeamish. You think it's, someone's going to cut a finger off, knock wood. But when you run it, it's not that big of a deal. But like I said when I was splitting that log with a maul, just weird things happen.
Yep.
When you're running a splitter, and wood will behave in a way that you're not expecting, and you'll get one to like shoot one way or flip the other way. And I think it's important not to have any jewelry on.
Yeah, I will agree that weird things happen when you least expect them, and it would, if you tried to have it happen, you couldn't make it happen. Like when I had the
Yeah.
cuff of my glove get caught on the nut of the return or the push plate going on the return cycle with the Wolf Ridge, and I smashed my hand.
That's when
Never,
you smash your hand.
yeah, never would I have thought something like that could happen, but
Yeah.
it did.
Well, that's why they're called accidents, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Well, do you think though that we can get your wife to conform to this new uniform standard that you have?
I don't know about that, but I mean, and this is the thing. Like some of the stuff, like jewelry, rings, those things that do present danger or potential for an accident. I think that's
Yeah.
different than like me wearing shorts when I'm splitting wood. Because that's another big thing.
Uh-huh.
You don't have proper jeans on. How can you split with shorts on? And
Yeah, I do it all the time.
I split with shorts all summer long. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. So I think
I
part
wear
of the
shorts deep into the fall too.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't know what having jeans on would be any different than shorts, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for some of the things I just question sometimes. Like, well, what difference would it make if
Yeah.
I had
It probably
jeans?
would make some. My shins look like the face of the moon. They've been beat up so much, dropping splits on them and stuff. Probably if I wore pants, but I don't know. It's just, it's so hot. And then even if it's 50 degrees out and you're making and stacking wood, you just feel like you're summertime. You can be out there in t-shirts and cutoffs and you're fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I always things like that. Just, I mean, the attire in the wood yard. I think there's certain levels that you should try to follow, and when you're running a
Uh-huh.
chainsaw, eye protection is huge. ear
I agree.
protection. But when it comes down to when you're just pushing levers on the log splitter, can I do it
Yeah.
in shorts? Sure.
Or if you're stacking wood, huh?
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
do I need to make my wife change clothes? I don't think so.
And then the key word is make her, correct? Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
I don't, yeah, she'll wear what she wants.
she knows what she's doing out there. So, it'd be different if, I said, just come out there and she had no idea what she was going to be doing with anything with wood. And then she showed up and, the clothes she wears. I mean, it's like she knows what she's doing. So she's wearing them for a reason, like, because she wants to. And that's what she had on.
She practices that skill that we were talking about in a past episode. Listen, but ignore.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what my daughters do to me. They listen, but ignore.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing too. Like if she had jeans on, I don't know what the difference would really be. If, like, say she dropped a round and it went down and hit her thigh,
Yeah.
If there's Lycra material or jean denim material, what's going to make the difference?
And let's be honest here. If she was wearing jeans, would these comments stop? And I'd probably say no.
Yeah.
There would still be people upset.
Something. They'd find something.
Yeah, boy. All right, Dan. Well, I tell you what, I am going to go change into a burlap sack and put on my cinder block shoes, and I'm going to go work out in the wood yard.
Nice. I'm still waiting to hear back from my blacksmith on the suit of armor that I'm having him build me.
your chainmail.
My chainmail pants.
Oh boy, yeah. All right, well, Dan, how about this? Let's strike up the band and let's go get our new dress code, and let's get ready for a good day of work.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone, for making the Woodhounds the #1 firewood podcast in the world. And you can find us on all your major streaming services.
Yes. And I want to thank everyone for spending time with me, a professional firewood delivery service, and Dan, a hobbyist.
We got it in.
We got it. All right, Dan. I will tell everyone out there to stay
safe
and dress
according to however you feel fit.
I like it. And have
a great day.